Good evening, everyone. This is going to be our final video on the assembly of the restored 1930 Kalamazoo President wood stove.
Hello, and welcome to our channel.
We're glad you're here. If this is the first video you've seen in this series, I'll link the playlist up here in the corner. This is our 1930 Kalamazoo wood cook stove. In the last video, we had gotten it put together to this point. The series shows the things we had to do to clean it up, the bad pieces we had to repair, and how we did those things. And we got to here and realized that we were missing two pieces. They're like some kind of a baffle or a spacer in the firebox. I'll show a picture of that here. We found one on Craigslist for sale that had a picture in the firebox that shows that. We've made something we think is going to work for that, but first, the last video showed us that the chimney was not in line with the flue pipe on the stove. The flue pipe on the stove was actually offset a little bit. So we realized we had to move the stove to the right, and we decided we were too close to the wall. We had to move it forward. And you can see we've added some furring strips to the wall here. We're going to be putting slate roof tile on this back wall and make it look like a bar roof would have looked. We're going to use that as a heat shield for the wall, and to do that we've had to buy some slate working tools. Haven't tried them yet, so we'll see how it works out. I mean, I watched a YouTube video, so I'm a slate cutting expert now, hopefully. Let me grab the camera and I'll show you better what's going on back here. Okay, the stove itself is sitting on basically half of an old pool table slate. The wood burner that sat here before was on a piece also that was raised up, which you'll see in the earlier videos. And that piece of slate was cracked down the middle. Now, we had epoxied it and it seemed okay. We were going to use it, but since we had to move it out anyway, what we did was go get the other half of the pool table, and we cut these 45s on the front corner and cut a nice square line on the back, and then moved the stove away from the wall. Go to the other side, maybe we can get a better view from the lighting. And that left us about a 16 to 18 inch gap, so this piece here is what's left of the original piece that had the crack in it. I'm not sure how well you can see that in video, but the crack is still showing right there. And what we've done by doing that is we've brought it away and we moved it to the right, which centered our flue pipe with our chimney opening. So now we can plumb that straight in. And like I said, we're going to use these slate roof tiles as a heat shield for the wall. So we did the calculations and the math and came out with about 8.5 inch centers on all these boards. Are just old skid lumber. So we've attached those to the wall, and then where the chimney pipe goes in, since it's going to be behind the slate, we were still worried about heat, so we've added some stainless steel basically heat shields to keep the heat directly off of the wood. And then up top we've added one that will hopefully guide the heat that comes up off the chimney out these openings. And just to be safe, we added some foil tape on the top of these two boards, just to keep the heat away a little bit. And since we're going to have slate hanging here and we couldn't put wood here, we notched out these two boards and attached a 1 inch piece of aluminum here, so we'll be able to just drill and tap to attach the slate tiles around the chimney opening here. So we'll get started on putting this slate up. Like I said, we've never done it before, so cutting the slate is going to be an interesting little journey. But we'll get a row or two up, and we'll film that and show you how that's going. Okay, here we are, 3 rows into it. Seems to be going pretty well. We've done a full row on the bottom, and the second row's got the half tile on the end and another full row. So I'm getting ready to cut the end tiles for this next one. I'll film that. I'm really shocked. You mark these things, use this cutting tool, cut from the back side, and these tiles cut like you're cutting paper. I'm really shocked. So let me get the center 4 tile in this next row, and I'll mark for the end tile that need cut, and I'll film cutting those and show you how it works. Okay, this is actually pretty simple. Just line it up on there, make a mark, top and bottom. Make a nice straight pencil line. I'm going to start from the top of the thinner part of the shingle. Just put these cutters on here. Like I said, it's like cutting paper with a pair of scissors. Careful when you get to the bottom. Pop it loose. Bring up the edge. It's that simple. When you cut from the back, it chips away the front and gives you that nice little bevel. So I'm really shocked at how easy this stuff cuts. But all I need to do is drill a hole for the other nail hole, since I cut the one nail hole off. And it's that simple. I'm going to nail this one up. Traditionally you use roofing nails. We're using these little sheet metal type screws with a big flat head on them. Kind of similar to a roofing nail, but we were afraid of pounding on the wall, knocking these things loose. So we're just running them on with these screws. So far so good. Okay, there is the completed slate wall. Came better than I thought it would. I'm really shocked that I was able to get the hole for the chimney as tight as I was. I was afraid it was going to be a lot bigger than that. It's going to be covered by the little 1-inch trim ring with no problem at all. Now if you notice, we've got these boards sticking out the end. We're going to put some kind of a wood trim down both sides, and then the same kind of wood trim across the top to cover that row of screws up there. But that is the finished slate wall. We are now going to clean up the slate mess, move the stove into its final position, and get the chimney pipe attached. We'll show you that when we get that far, and then we'll start putting this stove back together completely. Okay, we've moved the stove into its final position. It moved back maybe 6 or 8 inches, and we have got the flue pipe attached and in the wall. The oval to round adapter, which is the rusty piece, came with the stove. We tried to find one to fit it and really had no luck, so we had to reuse it. It's not in bad shape, fortunately. If the warming rack was not covering that, we would have the seam on the other side, but this way you don't see the seam from the back when the warming rack's on. But there's the flue pipe hooked up, and the stove in its final position. Now, I mentioned earlier about the baffles we added in here, just these 2 steel plates. They close up those gaps where I was able to stick my flashlight in one of the previous videos. So we just need to get a little bit of these cut from where I plasma cut them. There's still some slag here that needs to be ground off. So we'll get that ground off, and we will start putting the top and the warming rack on this. Hopefully we'll get this back together tonight. Alright, there it is. 100% back together. Okay, 99% back together. We still haven't decided how we're going to fix the water tank, which goes in this hole here. Other than that, it is all back together, ready to work. We've got the top all oiled. We sanded it down real good to get all the old nasty stuff off of it, and didn't want it to rust until we get to use it, so we put some coconut oil on it. But the next video on this will be actually firing it up for the first time. So there's the slate wall behind it. Still need to trim that, of course. You'll just see that in a later video. We don't want to do a video on that. And there is the 1930 Kalamazoo President wood stove, restored to the best we could possibly do it. And I know it looks a heck of a lot better and a lot cleaner than it does when we bought it. So we'll do another video on this maybe next weekend. We'll start a fire in it and actually do the first fire up and see how it does. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Any questions or comments are always welcome. Have a good night.